now ready to meet your second voter. She's also come into the polling location with her Ohio driver's license to use as ID. The first step is to greet the voter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I have your ID?
If a photo ID, ensure it's valid by checking against the criteria in a guide to valid photo IDs. If a non-photo ID, ensure it's valid by checking against the criteria in a guide to valid non-photo IDs. If a military ID, ensure it's valid by checking against the criteria in a guide to military IDs. If the ID is expired or does not meet criteria, ask for another form of ID. If no other form of ID is available, follow the steps in the Assisting Provisional Voters section. Our voter has a photo ID, so we'll use the OPEN acronym to see if it's valid. OPEN, Open, stands for O, Ohio. Is the voter an Ohio resident? P, Photo. Does the person look like the ID photo? E, Expiration. Is the ID expired? N, Name. Does the name match the voter's name on the EPB? You can find a guide to acceptable name matches in the gold roster section of the manual as well. Since the ID meets the first three requirements of Open, we can move on to using the EPB. Select Scan Barcode on the EPB screen. Voter will place the photo ID with barcode facing up beneath the camera, located at the back of the EPB towards the bottom right corner, until you hear a beep. The voter's information will appear on the screen. Next, check the name on the ID against the name on the electronic poll book to ensure it's an acceptable match. Brooklyn Dunlow's name on her Ohio driver's license and the name on the electronic poll book are an acceptable match. Return the ID to the voter. Since we've already established her identity, we won't need to see it again. Ask the voter to state her name and current address.
May I get your name and current address?
Brooklyn Dunlow, 1306 Morning Avenue.
She states her name is Brooklyn Dunlow, and she lives at 1306 Morning Avenue. In this case, Brooklyn Dunlow's address on the screen doesn't match what she told us. She's moved since she's updated her voter registration, so she's given us her new address. If the stated address does not match the address on the EPB, follow the Addresses Do Not Match guidelines. To update her address on the EPB, we'll press the Name Address Change button on the lower right-hand side of the screen. The first screen we come to asks if she has a name change. Press the Next button on the top right-hand corner since the answer is no. The second screen is where we'll key in her new address. You'll use a drop-down street guide to select her street. Please turn the screen and confirm with the voter that the information is correct before pressing the Next button. The third screen is a confirmation screen. Please reconfirm the information with the voter and press Submit and then Accept. On the next screen, press Accept as well. The next screen will tell us the method Brooklyn will use to cast her ballot. Since she's moved to a different voting precinct that still votes in the same building, she'll vote on a provisional paper ballot. On the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, press the down arrow to the right of Voting Method. Select Pre-printed paper for the method. Press the Submit button on the top right-hand corner of the screen. A Reason for Paper ballot slip will print automatically. Hand the RFPB slip to the voter and direct them to the paper ballot table.
And if you could step right around to the table there, to the paper ballot table, they'd be glad to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Provisional voters always vote on a pre-printed paper ballot. When they arrive at the paper ballot table, they'll receive the correct ballot and sign their legal signature on the provisional envelope. They don't receive a blank ballot card or sign their name at the roster table. A note: if Brooklyn had moved to a precinct that voted in another building, the EPB would produce a slip with the address of that voting location to give to the voter.